we don't know what we did with the tripod for the camera. So, but you can still see us. We can still see your comments. We can still see you. And we are glad that you all are tuning in tonight. We're going to talk briefly again tonight. We're going to talk about something that we've never talked about on, not in any depth on any of our casts or our Facebook Lives or our episodes. Hello,
Hey.
um, Sandra Bracy. Well, we're talking tonight about money. Does your money how does your money make sense? And
Hmm.
that goes to or speaks to um, the married couple, the couple that's trying to, especially those that are just starting out, but not only those that are just starting out, but those um, that have been married for a while. And
Hmm.
I have people asking me all the time, especially in the business that I'm in, as far as money. Um, what's the best way to handle money as a couple? And there's a lot of different ways to handle money as a couple.
Yep. So
So,
we're live tonight on Instagram, on Facebook, on both our channels on Facebook and on Instagram. So even if you're single or if you're married, go tell somebody. Let's join us in the chat tonight, talking about money, how it relates to the in marriage, and you know, excuse me. And thanks. One thing about marriage and having the talk, especially concerning finances, is that it's a topic that sometimes when it's not discussed, it causes issues, or it's one of the main things that couples have topics or
mm,
they have fights and troubles over.
yeah.
So we're going to hopefully coach you guys tonight and talk about some things. And definitely love your input. Hit those like buttons and
Yes.
let us know. So
We have been being
yeah.
bums all day today. So that's our confession that we have been just like chilling out all day. So our vibe is very chill vibes today. So if we go a couple of times, it's because we're trying to refocus and regroup. But
Yeah.
we did study something very good for you guys. Hey
Right.
there, Gary Boy. It's so good to
Yeah.
see you joining.
Yeah.
Um and Relda McGee.
Yeah.
Thank you. The definition of real love. Yeah, yes. Hard work, real love, holding on, all of that good stuff. So yeah, we're gonna talk about money because money is a sensitive issue for couples today, especially couples today. It wasn't so much maybe back in the day, many years ago, because usually it was just the man that was working, the man just bringing home money, and then there was certainly a period of time when women did work outside of the home that the man still made more money than the woman. Sometimes that's not the case right now. Not a big deal, but we're going to help you make it not a big deal if it is a big deal to you right now.
You talked about earlier, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, people got married sooner,
Yeah.
or earlier in life.
Mm-hmm.
And now people sometimes get married later in their late 20s, late 30s,
Yep.
or even after that. So they may have already had some ways before they even bring themselves into a relationship,
Yeah.
how they think about money, and then don't, always communicate on how to work together. So let's talk about it, get into it. We won't be long tonight, but hopefully we'll be a little strong. Thank you guys. Hopefully you can hear us, and definitely get your spouses, come sit with us and chat back with us on Instagram. We see you guys and on Facebook. So
Yep. So
let's talk about it.
Yep. So getting into it, one of the questions that people ask me, especially in the business that I am, I'm in real estate. We're going to talk a little bit about credit. We're going to talk a little bit about, a bunch of different things and how to make stuff, how to build your team, how to build your team financially. First things we want to talk about. Okay, so if you're going into a marital relationship and say one of the people don't have, or one of you, either you or your spouse, you don't have very strong credit, you're trying to make a money move like buy a house, or you're trying to build credit or try to fix credit, the person's credit that you want to build and fix first is the person who makes the most money and has been on their job the longest, because that's going to help you to be able to get where you need to be quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, even I will use us as an example. When we were younger, our credit was okay, but it wasn't like spectacular. We weren't like 750s or whatever, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But my husband had more longevity on his job. And as we were, moving towards buying a house and all of those things, he made more money than I did. And not much, but he made more money than I did. But we were like, okay, we can build his credit faster And because he had more job time, that was going to build and put us in a better position to be able to buy a house. So that's what we did, and that worked for us. And in my experience with different couples and different families that are trying to make that type of move, that is the way to go. Because you can both, the woman can be on the deed, the wife or the husband, whoever it is, you can put both people on the deed. You both can equally own the house, and you want it joint by the entirety. You want it joint by the entirety. That means that you both own the home 100%. So that means if anything happens to your spouse, even if you're not on the mortgage, you're on the deed to that house. That means you own it 100%. You don't have to have any drama, any problems with your home. And then if you want to take it further, if you have children, you want to make sure that home is that you have like a ladybird deed. And what that does, what the ladybird deed does, or what it is that if anything happens to you and your spouse, then your children do not have to deal with probate. Even if you have a will, you may have to deal with probate. But if you have a ladybird deed, that transfers entirety of ownership to your children without you having to do anything extra, or them having to go through probate. So that's just a little tidbit of information that you want to have on your real estate property. If you have that, that's just a real estate nugget, so you can have that out there. So a ladybird deed will take care of that for you.
Okay.
And so I know, sorry, we gotta hold this one, but anyway.
Hopefully the sound is better. I think it was the fan.
Oh yeah, might have been. Okay. All right. So again, repeating what I said, whoever's credit is the strongest, whoever's the longest on their job and the most income, that's the credit that you want to build. Another question that we've been asked: should a couple have a joint account, or should they just keep their separate accounts? I'll let you answer that.
Before we get in, that's such a good question. I want to hold off for that.
Okay.
Because I think when you get married or when you're in a relationship, when you're starting off, you got to sort of identify your goals, right? And sort of identify what's important to you. And that's basically what money personalities are.
Okay.
And I like to talk about that probably first.
Okay.
So you can understand why you're getting to that place.
Okay.
And it's important to know that, like, sometimes we talked about the love language and how to understand how your partner receives love. It's sort of the same with money.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
And if you understand your spending habits, or how your partner thinks about money, whether he or she's a saver or spender or whatever, I think it'll help couples. And really, one thing about a money personality is is not really a right or wrong. It's really just your natural ability. It's nothing that is negative, and it's definitely not gender based. But here are some things. If you think about it, try to identify which one you are. So there's 6 money personalities. You want to give them the first one, or
sure. Or I can give them the first
or
one.
I can give them the first one.
Thank you.
The first money personality. Thank you, Marty. Is spender. There's some people that are spenders, and a spender is a good thing, because spender has good points and has bad points. What are some good points of being a spender?
A good point of being a spender
Or
is
strength.
A strength of being a spender, because none of these that we're saying, none of them are good or bad necessarily. They have strong points and they have weak points, and you just have to bring balance to both of them, which is what relationships and marriage are about. A spender, like myself, I am a spender, but I'm also, you usually have 2 money personality types. So we'll talk about, you can pick out what 2 you think you are. But I'm a spender, and a spender is going to they are going to live their best life. A spender is going to give the best gifts to people. They're going to, remember people. They're going to think about others. That's what a spender does. A spender's like, if I'm going to stay either at a Holiday Inn or at the Garza Blanca, trust me, I'm picking the Garza Blanca. I'm not staying at the Holiday Inn. Nothing against the Holiday Inn. It's just, I would rather stay at the Garza Blanca. You know what I'm saying? So
the luxury hotel.
The luxury hotel, as opposed to, an inn of any kind. So, hey, Kalanji. So, definitely you want to make sure that you're understanding that strength as a spender.
So a spender is somebody, it's a good thing after all the bills are paid. They're like, hey, what are we going to do?
Absolutely. That's the operative thing. After the bills are paid.
Spend this money, or what are we going to do? We make the economy go. We do all that. A weakness is that a spender may not always be a good budgeter. So, and like you said, most people have a primary and secondary personality.
Yeah.
I think I'm a spender as well. I am. So if your spouse is a spender, that's one way to look at a personality. Second personality that a person is a saver,
which is
which,
also your
right,
personality.
which is also my personality. After all the bills are due, I like to save as well. A saver has strengths. You know, a saver is going to be a good budgeter. A saver, well, not necessarily a good budgeter, but a saver is going to make sure that they're a good planner. I say a planner
Yeah.
is more likely.
And a saver though sometimes is viewed as a tightwad a little bit and will not spend because certain things. Now he'll pick the Garza Blanca, but I'll be like, oh, you know, the kids want to do something. Oh, oh, I'm sorry, the luxury hotel. But it sounds luxurious. They know what it is. But he'll pick the luxury hotel, but I'll say, oh, the kids want to do, or I want to buy the kids some shoes. They don't need some. They only need shoes. It costs $10. You know, so he's gonna save when it comes to that. But he still lets me do whatever I want to do. But still, you know, he's gonna definitely you know, be more of the saver. He's going to make sure that we're secure for the future, that our investments are secure for the future, and I trust him wholeheartedly with our money. With we both have incomes, but I trust him completely with the investment of our income, where he allocates funds, especially in this crazy market. Even while things are going on right now, he's watching everything, all of our investments, making sure that we're safe as a saver.
Right. Another personality, risk taker. And these are personalities, you know, usually a person that maybe invest or looks to increase their wealth, or it could be a person that takes risk. And that's a good thing because with, you know, you can't make a shot unless you shoot it. So sometimes, you know, they'll have good returns, but they also can put yourself in a bad place because they've taken a lot of risk. So that's another strength and another weakness of being a risk taker as a personality. A debtor. A debtor is another personality for finances. And what a debtor does is that he's a person that'll leverage, you know, money that you may have tied up somewhere else. You know, and another way is another good investor, sort of a risk taker. But, you know, sometimes you can leverage money that you don't have. And that's real important to understand, you know, what to, and like I said, these aren't gender bases and not good or bad, but you have to understand what your spouse is. And finally, the last one is a flyer.
Well, you missed the other one. You missed security seeker, okay, which is my other money personality. And the security seeker basically is going to be a person that wants everything to be okay. And most women are like this. I'm a spender. Now, I am definitely a spender, but I'm not going to let all the money be spent on something crazy and we got stuff going on. I am going to pump those brakes because I want my house and my family to be secure. And so you can go over the final one and then we could talk about how people fight over these types of things or never talk about them and they become an issue and then people all broke up and they divorced because they never talked about their money.
Right, because they don't understand what their personalities are.
Right.
And the last one is a flyer. A flyer is a person that's just fly by night. And sometimes a flyer is maybe usually the person that doesn't always deal with all the finances. So flyer be like, yeah, you know what? I want to buy my wife. I want to buy my wife this great diamond ring or something nice. If it's a man, but he may not know that ring is $30,000 and you only got, you know, $20,000 in the bank or whatever, or whatever, you know, it is. So, so they just sort of whimsical about this. And it's a personality that's good because they're thoughtful. They like to think ahead and stuff, but it can be bad because they can put themselves in the debt. And if you understand what your personality, your secondary, your primary personalities might be, it's easier not to get in arguments. It's easy not to have conflict because you understand who you are and who your spouse is when it comes to money.
Absolutely. And once you have all the Bible says, now that get an understanding. If you have an understanding of who people are and their habits, then when you have a conversation about, you know, how much those shoes cost, you already know that what your spouse's spending habits are. So then that takes us to getting into should we have joint accounts?
And every marriage is different, but as marriage coaches, we tend to think that is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
And because the way we go back and what we always talk about, it gives you accountability.
Yes.
And it builds fences.
Yes.
Because, you know, my testimony or my thing was that I was an only child. So coming up and growing up, I didn't have to share anything. So when we got together and as a husband and wife, you know, I was never a selfish person, but I had to be able to relinquish my strength and my weaknesses. One of my wife's strengths is budgeting and managing, good with numbers, good with finances. And for me, because of my spending personality, even though I'm a good saver, I can invest. And she had tended to handle the bills better than I did. So at some point, I relinquished that, or I didn't relinquish it. We just decided that was her strength, and for her to handle that. And having a joint account just makes it easier. Hey, here's the money, we both contribute and do it, and it works good for our house.
Yeah, and having a joint account, there's a number of reasons why we feel like having your money together is better. Hey, Sherry, having your money together is better. Having your money together helps you also to be accountable for many different reasons. Accountable on the spending helps you to be accountable in making sure that somebody not spending. If some money has been spent on flowers, I know I'm giving flowers. You know what I'm saying? Him or his mother's giving flowers. Ain't nobody else in the world giving flowers. But you know what I'm saying? But you know what is happening and what is going out of the account. Same thing, if he, see a big old bill at Christian Louboutin, you know what I'm saying, then I should walk in with some Christian Louboutins. Nobody else should be walking in with no Christian Louboutins. You know what I'm saying? It's accountability, but it also, sometimes people have issue with the wife maybe that makes more than the husband, or whichever one. They were like, well, I put all the money, I make all the money. Well, once you blend all that, shake all that money down, you're not like, oh, I'm paying the light bill and you pay the gas bill, or I pay the mortgage, I pay this. When you are building your team, your team is together. Your team is together. You play different parts on that team, but it's one team. And so you put all of your resources together to build your own team. I look at a lot of different couples and I say, man, they could be so much further along if they would come together, not just in being together, communicating, but they need to come together financially, and then they could build something so great. But they get married and they keep their finances separate and be like, oh, well, I'm gonna pay for you, or I'm gonna help you do this. No, we do everything. Right. We do everything.
You're together. You're one.
Yeah.
And it should be one in the bank account. And then it works, like Kalanji said. It works for them, it works for us. And there, some guys will be like, well, I want to surprise my wife. Yeah, well, you can take some money out, you can write a check, you can do some things, and sometimes I'll be like, sweetheart, I'm gonna make a purchase, or something, and I'll be like, don't just, don't be looking at on Amazon what's coming or something. I want to surprise you or whatever. But it's really, it sets you up to not be isolated, because that's how the trick of the enemy works, or that's how the enemy works. Because if you don't have any accountability, and then you are having issues where you are a gambler or you're spending a lot of money, your spouse can't check you. And not check you to confrontation all the time, but to be like, hey, where's this money going, or whatever. Or if you having issues and with infidelity or whatever, it is offense to keep you be like, well, where'd you spend $50 on? Where are you? Why are you at such and such a place?
Why are you at the holiday?
Right.
And I wasn't at the holiday.
Exactly. So it's a fence to help protect, and it's also to help you guys build, because if you're not team Johnson, if you're not team Watts, if you're not team Weens, if you're not team Cole, then you're really not going on this journey together. And like I said, a marriage is a triangle. You got the man going up one side, you got the woman going up the other side to the goal, and the base is Christ. Right. And so you should also have that goal as far as finances.
Absolutely, definitely. And those things, again, people, because they don't have these discussions about money within their marriage, or when they do, it's always, I'm with my money, or I did this, or I make this, or I have this. If you eliminate a lot of that when you put that money together, when you put that that ideology in what you do together, because you can build your team. That's when you can get the house that you need to get. I work with so many different types of people, and I can't even begin to tell you how many families come together and make the dream happen. With our own, my mother, and I'm just being transparent. I don't think my husband minds. My husband has a son that he had before we got married, and he was doing everything that he could to make everything be what it needs to be, making sure that he was making timely child support payments, doing all the things that he was supposed to do. My mother had to help us do some stuff to get our house. You know what I'm saying? She had to do some thousands to help us get our house. We have people that were contributing to helping us be financially where we are today many years ago. So it takes sometimes a village, but when you put your money together and you can see everything that you have together, it definitely helps, because people think, oh no, I'm gonna keep mine separately. Oh, this person don't spend right or don't do right. Now if you got a person that has a spending problem and they cannot harness their problem, then maybe you should have a account that you put money in for bills that that person doesn't have readily access to, just
Right.
taking money out of it. They should have access to it, but it shouldn't be easy for them to take money out of it, because that's the money, the account that the bills come out of.
Right.
And do it automatically maybe.
And that's a good scenario, because then also it goes back to communication.
Yes.
You shouldn't be, even if you had joint accounts or separate accounts, there should always be some type of conversation about finances. Because if you're not sharing your feelings, like, honey, you're spending too much money, or honey, we're not saving enough, or honey, these bills are due. Like one of the things that I joke with my wife that she does a lot of the bills, but there's one bill. I was like, if you don't start paying this bill,
it's in student loans.
I'm gonna pay it. She was like, oh, I'll take care of it, and then I can't start getting these letters, like, or these phone calls.
No,
I'm
like, hey, have you missed something?
Right,
wait. Well, it don't be like late though, so it don't never cause us no situation.
No, but you got to have a conversation. You have to communicate about even the little things, and because a lot of time these spending personalities have to do with how we were raised, what we think about money. A lot of times, even with hey James, how you doing? Even having to talk on like tithing. There's been times when my wife has written checks or given something without me even, it's like, go ahead and do it, because if the Lord has told you to do that, we're on one accord. But she's never done it behind my back. She'll be like, honey, I think I'm led to do this. And I'm like, yeah, go do that, and I just think it makes it better when you have accountability, where you know what's coming out of your household.
Absolutely. We have if it gets to a point where it's a really, big check I'm writing to church, or I feel really, certainly we have a conversation. If it's a normal $20 offerings or whatever offerings that we give, we don't have a conversation with that, because we know we're both givers. We both support ministry. Amen. That's right.
Two better than one.
Yep, two better than one. We have that communication, so we're okay with our giving. I'm okay if he gives something, or he's like, I need, give me some cash, because he never have any cash on him, and I hardly ever have. But when I do, he takes my cash or whatever and gives it in church, or whatever the case is. We do that, and we do it together. But if it's a big number, then definitely we make sure that we talk, because we're never going to even put my faith to make anything be in jeopardy. We have that discussion. He's always backed us and backed me in that. So definitely making sure that you have your funds together, that you put those monies together, so that you can build together, because it takes longer to build when your money is separate. Even if you both have a lot of money, it's really hard to get that whole big picture of building, to build your money, to build your finances, to build your, and again, it's a part of your oneness, a part of your communication. I'm like, he got money, I always got money. That's we got money. How if it's $100 in our account, guess what? How much money we got? We got $100. Period. I don't care who put it in the account. We have $100. If I put $5,000 in the account, we have $5,000. Period. And you know what I mean? And there's been times, most of our lifetime, my husband has made more money than me, but there have been times where I made more money than him. There have been months that I made way more money. You know what I'm saying? Because of the type of business that I'm in. There's been months like I blew the roof off of it. You know what I'm saying? But whatever was in our account, whatever we did, it was our money. We did it together.
And it goes to the household. And another dynamic that we'll share is that, because of the way I travel and sometimes her money management, she manages a lot of the money. And I'm not a prideful person. I'm like, that is your strength. Go ahead and do it. And I'm like, yes, do that. My strength is that she's taking care of the now, but I'm taking care of the future.
Absolutely.
Because my strength is investing, saving, and preparing for our future. And her job as an independent contractor, she doesn't really have a retirement. Right. Like I do. So I'm able to invest. I'm able to help her set up something for her. And even in our investing, I give her something for her account, but everything that I invest is for our family. So when you're talking about finances, and I love if Deacon Motley could
Yes,
chime
because
in
he's
on
like
how.
the
Yep,
yes,
yep,
we gracefully bow
yep,
to him.
yep,
He's been married for, oh my gosh, 40 something years,
yep, yep.
and certainly takes very good care of his family. Has been a great example of being able to financially take care of your family, and just being the standard of what a man of God should be, and just what a good man should be.
And you should definitely in marriage play to your strength.
Yes.
You have to have conversations,
like
because
that.
you have to understand where your spouse, why they think this way about
Yeah.
saving, why do they think this way about spending,
Yep.
where did it come from, and then play to your strength. If your wife is a good saver, let her save. If your husband is a spender, and you guys we're both spenders.
Yep.
We are both spenders. That's one of our personalities, that we like to spend.
Yep.
But once you have a conversation, like, okay, our retail therapy right now can only be, right now what it is.
Right, we're going to the sale rack.
Right, because it is what it is. Because, and those personalities, no matter what you are, if you're a spender, if you're a saver, if you're a risk taker, if you're a flyer, if you're a security seeker, or if you're a debtor, everything of those personalities, if it's done in order, should be after the bills and everything have been taken
care of. You take care of God's house. You take
Henry.
care of your house. And then whatever else you do after that, have a good time. That's my philosophy. Hey, I'm laughing, and I know Deacon Motley is totally not going to agree with this, but my philosophy is, when I leave this earth, I am going to, of course, we're going to make sure our children are taken care of. We're going to have lived a good life, and my last check is going to bounce. Because I am going to live a good, happy, full, well-traveled, well-experienced life, and of course that's my philosophy. But then, because I'm a spender, but I'm also what's the one, the security seeker. I'm going to make sure everybody's taken care of before I do all of that. But then that last one, I don't know, might be a big check. You like, that might not clear. I'll be 100 years old writing that last check.
Like insurance will cover that casket, but that tip,
you might not get. So definitely.
Go ahead. It's important that when you're married, or when you have to have the conversation of finances.
Yes.
And it has to be ongoing. You should be talking about finances once a month at least.
Yeah, and it's a hard conversation. It's a hard conversation, because my husband likes to just have his money and have stuff done. But we have 3 kids in college. So if you guys want to support any of our children, we'd be happy to give them to you so you can support them. But we have 3 children in college. Thank you, Deacon Motley. We have 3 children in college. And so some months, like, especially, when the semester starts, we have to put these huge down payments down. And we don't want our children to have a whole bunch of debt when they, get out of school. And they do have some of them have some scholarships, but for the most part, we pay for, the children's education and, where they live and all that kind of stuff. So my husband likes to be like, okay, this is where our account is. This, I don't want to be able to do whatever I can do. And sometimes I'll be like, we have just paid X number of dollars, and we don't have that kind of money to be doing. And he'd be like, wait, what? And I'm like, I hate to have that conversation with him, that we can't just do anything right now, or we can't go to Bermuda this week. We can go to Bermuda in a couple of weeks, but we can't go to Bermuda this week because I had to pay this, that, and the other for tuitions or whatever the case it is. He doesn't like that. I don't like to have those conversations with him, but we've been married for 23 years. And I realize that even though he is not going to be happy about it, it is what it is. And we're going to talk about it, and we'll get through it. It's a hard conversation sometimes for people to have, but you got to do it, because if you don't do it, you'll find yourself, especially during lean times, when money is not plentiful, or you're not regularly getting a lot of money in, it can be a really stress and strain on your marriage, especially if you got family and children. It can be really, really, it can be hard. So you want to make sure that you're having those conversations, and that you're allowing your spouse the safe place to come and have that conversation. If they are overspending, you want to have that conversation, but you want to be like, I know you better stop spending all the money, or you're going to be spending it by yourself, or you ain't gonna have, I'm going to take my, you can't have that kind of attitude. You got to be like, okay, honey, what can we do to help you with not doing that? Because we can't do that, because it's not good for our family. It's not good for our team. It's not good for the Smiths. It's not good for the Joneses. It's not good for the Browns. So whatever your family is, it's not good for your team. So say, this is not good for our team. So what can we do? I remember when I used to not be a purse girl, but I am so a purse girl right now. I'm so in it. Purse and shoes is my thing. But I didn't used to be one. But when I started to get into it, my husband didn't have, the kind of job that he had. Well, he wasn't flying the type of planes that he flies now. And so I was not going to put our family in jeopardy just because I wanted a bag. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gonna put our checking account because I want a bag. Talk to my husband, honey, this is what I would like. And I remember, I think my very first bag was a consignment bag. It was new, it was authentic, but it wasn't like the spring line. I think it had been like the previous fall line, and I got it on consignment. Hey, but I still got my bag. You know what I'm saying? And then as time went on, he was able to walk into Louis Vuitton and grab me a bag, walk into Gucci and get me a bag. You know what I'm saying? And we're at that place where we can do that, but we were not always at that place. Be patient. But because we were building our team, and because when he didn't have nothing, and when we first got married, and before he got married, he had a car that I could see the grounds.
Hey, Thomas.
I could see the ground outside, and when we were driving in that car, because I stuck with him through that. Then now, we have 6 cars. So, God has blessed us, but it takes time, and it takes building your team, and it takes doing it together.
Right. You have to build a team, and then you have to have the conversations. One question that came up was that, we've been married for 23 years, and sometimes, and we haven't always hit the mark with finances.
Right.
We've had discussions, we've had disagreements.
Yeah.
But how do you help the couple that's just starting out, that's planning towards something? How do you help them build? How do that married couple that's been married under 5 years, how do they start coming together? Because one issues, or people that we found out that have had trouble in financial issues, have had trouble in other issues.
Absolutely.
And or because, and I mean, trouble's not making mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. But if you're having a communication issue, if you're having a trust issue, then the financial part is going to be a part that is just going to struggle as well, because you're not meeting the needs in other areas of marriages. So for young couples, or couples that are just starting out, you have to have the talk. And while you're dating, you have to have the talk on, what makes you influence? What are your influences? What did your parents do? Were they savers? Were they spenders? Did they just work all the time and live, paycheck to paycheck? That was an experience that I had as a single person, sometimes just living paycheck to paycheck, trying to make it. So if you don't know what their history is, or their mindset is, the way that they're wired, or the way they're influenced, it's a talk that you need to have.
Absolutely. You need to find out what your spouse's financial personality is like, and then again, to provide that safe place for you to discuss that, and to make sure that you guys are on the same page. And my advice that I would say for those that have been married 7 years and under, if you have not already done so, get together some goals of what it is that you want to do. If you put down some goals, if it's nothing but I want to buy a house, or we want to have a savings of $10,000, if we want to have, whatever it is, put that goal down. Because if you want to buy a house, you got to build some kind of savings. Or you got to have something. You got to either have it in a 401k that you can pull it out of, or you got to have some money somewhere. You want to do those things, but again, you can get the best picture of your money when you're looking at it together. When money is all over 27 different separate things, it kind of makes it difficult. But again, if you got a husband or wife that's a big that's a flyer, you got to get them a flyer account.
Right.
Be like, sorry, you got $100 in your flyer account. You better fly with that $100, because this 1,000 got to take care of these bills. Okay. Right. And when your flyer account is overdrawn, then that's on you, but you're not going to get no overdraft fees on this here account.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because nobody wants to pay the bank, overdraft fees all the time. That's a dud.
So, not to cut you off. So now we do that. How do you handle conflict when it comes to finances? How do you deal with it? So your spouse is a spender, and you told them we got to pay this bill, and they went out and did something else with the money. How do we handle conflict?
You wait till they go to sleep, and you put a
right.
Put a pillow over their face. No,
right. Don't cook a meal for them.
Right.
But the first part of that is that whenever you're angry or whatever, before you discuss anything with your spouse, you don't want to be aggressive.
Don't discuss anger.
Have a cool off period.
Yep.
Be like, honey, I can't believe you did this or that, but I need to talk to you about where we are financially. But I'm gonna talk to you after gotten over my emotion.
Yeah.
So like a cooling off period should be the first thing.
Yes,
Right?
definitely. If you're angry at something your spouse did financially, you definitely want to cool off. You want to cool off, and then you want to discuss it. And they may feel like, well, I make money just like you, or I make more money than you. Doesn't matter. See, doesn't matter how much more money that you make or how much money you put into the account. All of the money is mixed in together. It's all in the soup. I don't care what kind of, if you the tomatoes and I'm the onions, we still in the soup. Okay, it's one thing. So in that one soup, we all is the serving is together. We serve it together. We taste everything together. It's all blended in together. But again, when you have those joint accounts, it helps that to be easier.
Yeah.
And so if there is conflict, if there is issues, are issues there, then you definitely want to make sure that you are talking about those issues.
I like you said, building your team. There's no I in team.
Right.
And somebody, well, there's
There's
a me.
But
There's no I, because you really have to look at it, especially in conflict, as you're building your team. So cool off first. And then the second part is to communicate.
Yep.
You have to say, hey, this is real. This is where we're at. This is what's going to happen if you don't do this, or if we don't change, or if we don't make adjustments, if we don't take spending habits, or if we don't go and learn how to invest, if we don't do these things, then our goal may not be made. And when you are expressing yourself to your spouse, you also have to listen. Or your spouse may be like, well, I like to pay certain bills or do this and this because I feel more comfortable with that. And that was one thing that I learned, that, my wife is comfortable when she knows, like, it's building your nest, right? And, if I can make sure that she has the tools to do that, then I'm sorry, I forgot. Then we have a comfort zone. But if you're in a conflict, or if you're dealing with money and you're having these issues, you have to be able to communicate, which is express yourself, but you also need to be able to listen to your spouse as well.
Absolutely. You have to listen to your spouse, whatever their money personality is. You have to listen to them, and you have to validate them, because again, that might have been how they have been brought up. And then you pray together about what things are going to make you better as a team. What things are going to make your team better, and then also about giving. Some people have mixed emotion about giving. People that have been raised up in the church and that believe that, okay, the tithe is the 10% that belongs to the Lord. We believe that in our house, that, we believe in tithing. But there's some families that, didn't come from that background. They don't really understand it yet. They don't understand large sowing seeds. They don't understand the purpose behind it, or all the time. We try to be very spirit led as far as our giving is concerned, as far as, if, there's a special thing, a special offering, but we also believe in giving to the Lord. We believe that giving God our best and offering to him. So you got to do what's in your dynamic, and then ask God. God will tell you what it is that he wants you to do. And God is not hard to hear from. If you ask him, he'll speak to you. A lot of times we just ignore him when he does and just be like, we just want to do what we want to do. After we hear what he got to say, we're like, dang, that's not the answer I wanted. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right.
But that's not what God wants. He wants to be a part of everything that we do, and he's willing to grow with you in your giving. He's willing to grow with you in your budgeting. And the Bible, certainly has great financial advice about sowing and reaping. So I can't say that I have ever outgiven God. I can never say that I've ever outgiven. I cannot beat him giving. The more I try to give him of my substance, of my finances, of myself, of my service, the more that he gives to us. So, definitely you want to make sure that you are including him in your plans and in your giving.
And that's just part of being a team. We have found out, and our faith has been tested, because there's been times when we've had needs.
Yeah.
And that's a biblical principle that we believe in. And it's been nice to be on one accord.
Yep.
To be like, we have this need, but I also have faith to know that if we give, then God will supply all of our needs. And sometimes conflicts arise when you don't get to that solution.
Absolutely.
And so you have to, if you didn't vet your spouse in this area before you got married, then you have to keep having conversations.
Yep.
And once you get to a conversation, and once you get to a solution, celebrate. You got to be able to celebrate your solution and your goal.
Yes.
Being that team together that you're building with. Make sure, because a lot of times that we found in coaching and counseling, that people have a conflict, they may have a resolution, but then they leave it there. They don't go back to the celebrating of, hey, we're of this team.
Yes.
We can do it together. We got knocked back one step, but we're about to jump up two.
Absolutely. You know, you're looking at people. We have not always been where we've been. We've gone through bankruptcy. We have had our house foreclosed on, and God gave us our house back. Crazy story. Don't even have time for it tonight, but a supernatural testimony. But because we are givers, I believe that was one of the greatest reasons that God blessed us to get back everything that was taken from us during our time of famine. So, you know, Paul says, I learned how to be abased and abound. You know what I'm saying? I know how to have money and not to have money, because I've been in both places. So I'm grateful to God for that. And again, you know, it's all about growth. It's all about being on one accord. It's all about being on the same page. And it's don't let your money take you out. You know what I'm saying? Don't let your money make you fight in your relationship and be cantankerous in your relationship with regard to you know, your marriage and your life and your goals, because many people get divorced over money matters. And it's because you don't communicate. Everything in your relationship can be great, can be wonderful if you communicate. I don't care how evil that person is. I don't care how cantankerous your spouse is, or whatever it is, unagreeable, disagreeable, how stubborn they are. If you're communicating, everything can be better, because you are becoming that person's confidant. You're a safe place and place for that person to talk. And as you are, that person's heart is going to open up to you. And as they do, then you're able to grow. Both of you are able to grow in that place.
Right. So this was Sense and Sensibility tonight. You want to hit this last question?
Sure. What's that?
Somebody said, being single, and if you don't have a lot, how do I get ready to be with somebody that does have? You know, and how do you ask those questions?
Well, and answering this question, so our final question of the night. How do you well, you know, you work on managing your own finance. You work on living by principle. And principle is by God's principles. You work on living by God's principle, because principle is something that works every time. It works every time. It may not be an immediate result, but it's going to work every time. So you live by principle. You follow good, healthy financial habits. You don't give out more than you have coming in. You make sure you have those things available. Take care of your own business. Take care of it. When I was single, now I had a nice car. Nobody ever came and got my car. My phone stayed on, and my rent was always paid. And I got that type of management skills. I got that from my mother. We never was in the dark. We never did my mama have us in the dark. If I had to get on the bus and she gave me the money and go pay on it until I could get she could get the rest of it done, until her and my dad could take care of the rest of it, that's what we did. But I never had anything that went lacking, or that went when I never had gas or anything like that. And I'm just like amazed, because I had times when I had I had a college job, but I was paying my bills and paying my rent and doing what I needed to do. And God provided. So you have to make sure that you are living a disciplined enough life. You can still be a spender, you know, you can still splurge. I have a broker that I work with. She said, every time you get some money, do something for yourself. I don't care if you do something really small, buy yourself some earrings or whatever it is. If you're a spender, then you must celebrate yourself. You must celebrate the fact that you worked and you did bring that in. So, you know, definitely be able to do that. But as you do that, when you have that kind of control, then somebody who has money, if they come into your life, then they'll trust you with having a joint account, because they know that you have self-control and that you're not going to clean them out and do something dumb with their finances. So I would say that is I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, that's good. I like what you said. You said living by principle. So if you were single and you were on your way, or like Renee said, waiting for her Boaz that may be stuck in traffic, take care of yourself. Have your principles, but then you also don't wait till after you say I do to have a conversation about money.
Right.
You know, you have to have that conversation, because if you aren't equally yoked in those areas, it's going to bring conflict.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to have conflict. And it's okay to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
You know, what are you investing in? What do you believe? What do you think? Should we have children? You know, should we invest in college funds? How do you think of that?
Or you're this age and you make this amount of money. Why don't you own anything? Right. Why do you drive what you drive? What are you doing with your finances?
Right.
You know, and you don't have to ask it in a condescending way.
Well, yeah, that's a real, like we said, people are getting married later in life now.
Yeah.
And so you want to ask those things. Well, if this is an issue, well, why am I still living in my mom's house? Well, maybe because
Right.
and you make $60,000-$70,000 a
Right.
year.
You just
Then that's
yeah.
the vetting process. You want to make sure that you're vetting.
Yeah, and then even if they are a good person and they're not doing the right things, and if you're really good with money, then you can help them with their money, and then you can do great things. Again, it's about team building.
Yep, because and that's the case when, like my wife shared, when we got together, when we got married, we were coming out of college. Uh, my job, didn't have any money,
Yeah.
and I didn't grow up having a lot of money, but I'm a good steward of money,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a principle. That's how I prepare. So you don't, women, you don't, for a man, you can't just be like, oh, he don't have no money, so he ain't no good. No, no. But if you understand how they think, how they invest,
Absolutely.
what their
Their
plan
ambition,
is,
yes.
and what their ambitions are. Yes, your ladder will be greater, Sherry.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you are having that conversation.
Absolutely.
You can't always judge a book by their cover, especially when you're starting out. But there has to be a vetting process, because there can be signs to be like, okay, this might be an area that will be a struggle.
Yeah.
And definitely, like we said before, we talked about the characteristics, and if you're a spender, saver, and all that. But also, we do think that having joint accounts
Mm-hmm.
is a good fence.
Yeah.
It's a good protection of keeping your marriage together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So, hey, once again, we're trying something new. We actually are broadcasting from both pages. We were on WhatsApp Entertainment on Facebook, and also on my personal page, Frederick Watson. And we are also on WhatsApp Entertainment on Instagram. So we appreciate you guys that have joined us on all the platforms. Thank you for engaging with us tonight.
Yes.
And finally, if you missed this, you want to go back and watch it. If you don't watch it on Facebook, you can always watch it on YouTube. So
the TV just came on upstairs.
So we appreciate you guys supporting. Join us next Monday for Love in 60 Seconds. Hope that you are enjoying our little quotes and our little stuff and videos on Instagram. And continue to send us your topics of discussion.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Be encouraged. We love you, and we're definitely praying for you, praying for great relationships, because that's what God desires, that you have a great, happy, fulfilled, just wonderful relationship. That's why God created it. So we're praying for you. God bless you. And, find out what your financial personality is. May help you to get to the next level.
That's right. This has been Frederick and Jean Watson. This is Love in 60 Seconds. See you guys next week. God bless.